there are two ways of disintegrating the European Union. One is leaving, okay? One is Brexit, and Franksit, and Italsit. But the other, which is what really is happening, no, countries stay, let's say Italy, Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, etc., stay, but they decide they will not abide by any rules from the European Union. Restoration of sovereignty of the nation state as it was. Reversing, therefore, the movement of European unification. That's the new form of deep crisis of the European Union. In terms of the political system, after Brexit, France, Macron was not the cause of the crisis. But what happened in France was also the disintegration of the entire political system. All the traditional parties disappeared, bye-bye, except the one strong party left, the neo-fascist or ultra-nationalist party, Le Pen, the National Front, Rassemblement National, in this moment, with 21% of the vote, solid. And what happened is that as reaction to avoid that the Le Pen party would control politics, all the other democratic remnants, not parties, parties were gone, found a way to coalesce around Macron, at least not. But the way to understand why this is not, as it was thought, the consolidation of a new democratic France, starts by the observation I made in my book. It's a whole section about Macron and France, looking at the actual social basis of Macron. It's very small. Usually when I try to see in electoral terms what is the support or lack of support for any option, I don't look at the percentage of votes. That's misleading. I look at the percentage of people. And looking at the percentage of people, because in France, particularly in the second, in the elections, the legislative election in France, 49% of people didn't vote. So looking at the percentage of people, only 17% voted for Macron. So what? Macron is in Paris, he's an intelligent guy, a good democratic conviction, etc. But with such a small social basis, down the line, and I wrote that in my book, clearly was not sustainable to confront all these problems. Result, les gilets jaunes, a very powerful, ideologically transversal movement which has questioned deeply the legitimacy of Macron. What has been the reaction of Macron? Go from town to town in France trying to talk to the people. It used to be called populist. When he has to do that, it's because he's desperate about the lack of institutions. So my point is, France also, the institutions were blown up. And we can go on and on. Spain, for those who are interested, completely transformed, the entire political system was completely transformed. By the way, one little indication, because I don't want to talk too much about Spain, but there used to be the leading conservative party controlling the country for many years, the so-called Popular Party. According to the last poll yesterday, is the fourth party in Spain at this point. Among other things, because it's a new neo-Franquist party arguing for the return to something like the Franco dictatorship, which of course has siphoned many of the votes of the Conservative Party. Italy being governed currently by a coalition between a party that is explicitly fascist, explicitly neo-fascist, by the Lega Nord, that now is Lega, led by Matteo Salvini, with a very complicated and confusing populist movement, the Movimento Cinque Stelle, that has been, in fact, now instrumentalized by the Lega and follows more or less what the Lega does. And Hungary, explicitly racist, xenophobic, and anti-European. Poland, explicitly anti-European Union. And then the Netherlands with a powerful xenophobic movement. And remember the wonderful Scandinavian democracies. That was always our hope. Well, of the four big Scandinavian democracies, 3 of them the government is a coalition with a major xenophobic party, in theory. Only Sweden is surviving, not that they don't have a strong xenophobic party, but it's the only country with all the other parties, right and left, have decided to make a coalition against that particular xenophobic party. If we would look around the world, which is not in the book, we would see very similar trends of ultranationalists everywhere, and crisis of the traditional liberal democracy in almost all major countries, let alone Africa. South Africa is in a tremendous crisis of legitimacy that is destabilizing the system completely. Latin America, I will not go into the details, but the most important thing, of course, is the election by a large majority in Brazil, the decisive country of Latin America, of an ex-military person who argues for the return to the Brazilian dictatorship and to the military dictatorship.